There is one game-changing step that many people are missing that would take their makeup to the next level. And the good news is you may already have it. Hi pretty people, it's Crystal, your very own personal beauty pro. And if you are new here, I actually am a beauty pro. I'm a professional working makeup artist. My primary work is in what's called advertising or commercial. I've done many a New York Fashion Week. I also do some editorial work, and I work in a few facets of the beauty industry. What I love doing, in addition to doing what I love, is encouraging and entertaining and educating you through beauty. I was actually just about to call it a night, but I had to come in while this was on my mind and share this game-changing tip with you. When I create the videos for you, I don't just like to throw anything together. I like to give you good, meaningful tips. Of course, we want to have a good time, but I also want to give you quality information that you can use with that special pro perspective. There are many times people want a flawless but still natural makeup look, and they're not quite sure how to achieve it, or they took their time and did a nice pretty makeup application, but something doesn't quite seem to be coming together, and sometimes that something is finishing powder. Many times people buy powders without putting a ton of thought into it. They may buy what's popular or what's recommended, not really giving thought to the formula and the purpose of the powder. One of the most overlooked purposes of some powders is for finishing, meaning the finishing touch on your entire makeup look. And I'm going to share some powders with you today, some finishing powders. And I say that you might have them in your collection already, but just may not have been using them for the purpose of finishing powder. So I pulled some of my favorite finishing powders, and I'm going to explain to you how they work, and we'll even do a brief demo. First one I'm going to share is one I think is exceptionally good in quality. It also has a quality reputation, and that is Hourglass. And one of the hero products and one of their very first products back when they started is their ambient lighting powder, and it does just that. It gives your skin this ambient glow, an almost candlelit glow, not quite iridescent, not shimmering, but there's just something radiant about the finish. When many people think of powders, they think about a powder to set their liquid foundation or their cream, and they also think in terms of keeping their makeup in place when they have an oily skin or giving it a mattified look. But finishing powders, while they might give you a subtle set, they may help the makeup stay in place a bit. Where finishing powders really shine is in that beautiful glowing effect it gives the skin, and also in the way it actually helps you blend your makeup. So here's what I mean. Here's one of my favorites. This is in one of Hourglass palettes, and my particular shade when I'm doing a finishing powder is their Radiant Light. But one thing about finishing powders, they feel so buttery, but they tend to be very lightweight. So they're sheer, and sometimes you can see a bit of golden or pink or pearlescent glow in them, but it's very subtle, so your face never ends up looking shiny, just soft and perfect and healthy. And because they're not dense but sheer, the makeup that you have laid down can still show through, but it gives this blurred filter effect to your makeup. So what happens is your makeup looks softer and more blended. This is another one of Hourglass ambient lighting sets. You can see they have a wide variety of tones, and with these types of powders you're trying to get a complementary match, not necessarily an exact match, because again, talking about a sheer wash of color. Because of their elegant sheer formula, they are gorgeous bronzers and contours on my complexion, so you get that sculpting effect without looking made up and without looking like you have stripes on the skin. This is Hourglass Transcendent Light shade, another soft brown shade for more brown, warm tone complexions. And here's another beautiful one that's called Eternal Light. The Hourglass Ambient Lighting powders do come in individual powders and in trios, so you don't necessarily have to get one of these sets that also has the blushes and highlighters. This is really a superb formula for finishing powder. This next finishing powder is very popular, and I shared it in a recent video, but some people may not think of it for what it is, which is a finishing powder. This is the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Natural. This is a beautiful baked powder. Doesn't have shimmer, but it does have this built-in glow. It has just a whisper of mattifying properties, still allowing the skin to look healthy and not dry. It's dense enough to add a bit of flawlessness to the skin, but sheer enough to let the makeup show through when you apply it with a big fluffy brush. That's my next tip. To get the effect I'm talking about of the soft, blended, finished look, it's all in the application of your finishing powder. You can take a powder puff if you're really using your powder more so to get a set, to kind of lay the makeup in place and to get a bit more mattification. But if you want to use your finishing powders as an actual finishing powders, then it's very important to use a big, fluffy, airy brush. That way you don't disturb the makeup beneath, and the buffing motion of the brush gives you a polished glow on the surface of the skin. And I'm going to demonstrate that in just a bit. If you like the Sephora brand, they do have a comparable powder. They have some similar ingredients, but the formulations are different. MAC is just a touch more hydrating. I have found the Sephora to be a bit more mattifying. I definitely think the Sephora is a good powder. In fact, I can't even open this one for you because it's been used so much. The lid has a gangster lean. If you're a fan of Armani's Luminous Silk, then you may already be familiar with this. Armani's Luminous Glow powder does have a separate compartment for a brush. And whenever your products come with a brush or a sponge, they should be washed. This is a stunning formula, and it really almost feels like a cream to the touch. Even just looking at the powder, you can see that it has a pearlescent sheen, but it's still very much a powder. So it does have this soft filtered effect when it goes over the skin, and it gives a beautiful finished polished look to the skin. This is the Dior Cushion powder. It's beautiful, sheer, and has that touch of glow so that it can be used both to set and as a finishing powder. Powder is as light as air, and even when you open it, you can see it floating in the air. This beautiful, airy, flawless veil. As I'm showing each of these powders to you, it's getting harder and harder to decide which one I want to demonstrate. Tell me through the screen which one you want to see. These next ones are some of my favorites. I love the House of Guerlain, both for their beauty and their fragrance. These are Guerlain's meteorites, and they have been around for years. I don't see people share these as often, but they are just as fabulous. And when you open them, you get this delicious puff of violet candy. And I think maybe one reason you don't hear about these as often is because people aren't quite sure what they're really for. And as a side note, these powders can be used on bare skin as well. The Guerlain meteorites, they come with different shades of pearls, and typically the one you would choose would be according to the look you want. They lean more pink or warm. Some of them have more bronzes and gold. Some of them have even some lavender. Dip in a big fluffy brush, you swirl it around, and it creates the most gorgeous glow, the most perfected, smooth, radiant, healthy, wealthy look on the skin. They are beautiful and they don't disturb your makeup application. These gorgeous finishing powders are the Le Beige Healthy Glow powder, and they have expanded the shades. The shade selection from fair to rich are absolutely gorgeous in the Healthy Glow powders. You can almost see the pearl-like effect when you look into the powders, but they do give a soft mattification as well. I promised to demonstrate it for you, and I think we're going to go with the Meteorites powder in my big fluffy La Mer brush. This might seem counterintuitive. Once you've done all your makeup, the thought of going over it with this product might make you feel a little nervous, but it's not going to mess up your makeup, and we're going to prove that to you right now. You want to roll your brush around, make sure it's evenly and lightly coated, and just take a look at your bristles and make sure there aren't any spots that have a lot of product gathered there. And that's really the same for any of your makeup, especially the face products like the blush. However you load up your brush is how it's going to go on the skin. So make sure you have a light, airy application of the product on your brush, and you have a better application. So once I've swirled it in there, I'm literally going to buff it all over, and I'm grazing over the makeup. Gives a more softened, filtered effect. Another side bonus of that application technique is that it will also blend your blush for you. So it helps to melt your blush application down into the skin and look flawless. Let me know if you're a fellow finishing powder lover, and if you aren't, let me know if you're going to give it a try. I love sharing this tip with you. I look forward to seeing you in the very next video, but until we meet again, keep it pretty.